Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'll be breaking down the Kelvin Timeline Starship Bundle featuring the Armstrong, Newton, and Salcombe. As always, chapters to each topic are listed down below. Starting with the basics, this bundle goes live on PC today, July 21st of 2026, and will arrive on console later in August. This bundle is introducing 3 new Tier 6 ships, the Armstrong Miracle Worker Dreadnought Cruiser, the Newton Command Science Carrier, and the Salcombe Intel Escort. If you don't want to purchase the entire bundle, these ships can also be acquired standalone in the Zen store for 3,000 Zen per, or 2,400 Zen with the introductory sale. And if you have any Tier 6 coupons that are not from the event campaign, those will also work on these ships. Now, if you decide to go for the entire bundle, it has a base cost of 12,500 Zen and has a 25% discount with the introductory sale, taking it down to 9,375 Zen. If you're patient, then future 35% bundle sales will take it down even further to 8,125 Zen. Now, shifting over to the bundle exclusives, costume-wise, there is the Vulcan cold weather jacket that we saw older Spock wear in the 2009 Star Trek movie. Alongside that, we have the USS Kelvin uniforms seen in the opening scene. Then we have the extreme temperature EV suit that Spock wore in the volcano at the start of Into Darkness. Now, over on the space side, there is a Kelvin Radiance Vandy Shield, which will add a lens flare to your ships that only you can see. And then there is the Red Matter Containment Breach Universal Console, which features a 25.6% radiation damage buff and a plus 21.4 EPG skill buff for the passives. And it has a clicky that targets your foe, dealing radiation damage and banishing up to 5 foes within a 3-kilometer sphere of the target. Players and enemy battleships or dreads cannot be banished. Now, I don't have pictures showing this effect, but if it's similar to what we saw at the end of Star Trek 09, then I know that there's going to be some science players very happy to get this console. And then there is a title, Event Horizon Survivor. Now, for the ground gear, the space gear, and also the title I just mentioned there, all of that can be reclaimed account-wide. You just got to go to the Zen store, then go to Items, and then Promotion Unlock Items at the top there, and everything that you're getting from this bundle will be in there free to reclaim on every character on your account. Purchasing this bundle will also net a few consumables. First up is 9 experimental ship upgrades. These should be unbound, meaning that you can sell or trade them. If you have bound ones from Phoenix events that you want to use on your ships instead, then make sure to put these unbound ones on the market or in your account bank before upgrading your ships. And if you do end up going that route and you use your bound upgrades so that you can sell these unbound ones, then 9 of these should sell for around 5 to 600 million EC based on current market prices. On top of that, you're going to get 3 starship slots, 3 ultimate tech upgrades, a tier 6 ship coupon, which can also be sold or traded so long as you leave it unopened in the original box. And then lastly, you've got the cross-faction flying unlock in the event you don't already have that on your account. Heading over to the ships, first up is the Armstrong Miracle Worker Dreadnought Cruiser. This includes the skin seen on the Armstrong and Mayflower in Star Trek 09, the USS Excelsior and curved roll bar variants from Into Darkness, along with the Stowe original variant that is the TNG-era Aldrin class, which also features a beta option that only has 2 nacelles. In addition, if you own the Lockbox Parliament Miracle Worker Surveyor Cruiser, this is on the same skeleton and you can kit bash them together. And heading over to the stats of the Armstrong, it has a hull modifier of 1.45, shield modifier of 1.1, it has a 4-4 weapon setup, and it can run dual cannons in the forward slots. Then you've got 4 device slots, console-wise, 3 TAC, 5-inch, 3 Psi, and 1 universal. For the mobility, you've got a base turn rate of 9, impulse of 0.19, inertia of 60, so as far as Dreadnought cruisers go, this is going to be one of the better moving ones in the game. Then for the power buffs, plus 15 to weapons and shields. It does have a hangar bay, which is by default equipped with the Kelvin Timeline Assault Drones, the same as you'd get on the Vengeance. Then for the cruiser commands, you've got Attract Fire, Shield Frequency Modulation, and Weapon System Efficiency. And with this being a Miracle Worker ship, it does have all of the Miracle Worker perks, so the Innovation Ship Mechanic, the Cyclical Quantum Slipstream Drive, and then you've got the Dreadnought Cruiser Mastery Package. Now, for the bridge officers, you've got a Commander Inge with Miracle Worker, Lieutenant Commander TAC with Command, Lieutenant Commander Universal, Lieutenant Science, and Ensign Tactical. Now, my impression of the Armstrong stats wise is that it's basically the Princeton from the 14th bundle with a hangar bay on it, because this is a Dreadnought cruiser. So, if you were a fan of the Princeton, if you like that Miracle Worker and Command combo, then this is going to be a slight upgrade for you. With the bridge officer layout here, the playstyle that I think this would best lean into is an energy weapon focus setup, probably a tank. If you're someone that wants to do, a fire at will setup on this, it should work out quite well. Now, in theory, you could also do torpedoes on this. It's not going to be the best platform for that, though. If you look at the seating, the Lieutenant Commander TAC is where the command is, and then you've got a Lieutenant Commander Universal. So as soon as you would go in and try to do Concentrate Firepower 3, you would have to give up your gravity well with the Lieutenant Commander Universal to run another TAC to do like a Torp Spread 3 or a High Yield 3. So it's not a bad layout. It's a pretty decent ship, for a Zen Store ship. But, for torpedoes, I would go with something else. But if you're just looking for like a generic FAW tank, this would be perfectly fine for that. Now, heading over to the Armstrong accessories for the Admiralty card, it is 58 inch, 23 science, 36 tack, and the special is plus 15 all stats when alone. Now, for the Armstrong Console, this is the Epsilon Limiter Overload. Passives on this are plus 15% max hull capacity, plus 6% crit chance when not in threatening stance, and when you are in threatening stance, plus 150% threat gen. And the clicky here is the Epsilon Limiter Overload. Activating this console overloads the circuits of your ship with Epsilon energy, enabling it to perform extra impressive maneuvers. While in threatening stance, the ship emits sharp pings to enemy navigation systems, drawing opposing enemy ships towards your ship. Within a short time frame, performing actions in combat that involve dealing damage and using tactical maneuvers, your ship will be able to maintain itself in the heat of combat. So if you have threatening stance turned on, the clicky will provide plus 200% global threat generation, and for 30 seconds when the console is activated on outgoing critical hits, gain 10% of your maximum hull as temporary hull for 15 seconds. On control applications like Gravity Well, restore 2% of your maximum hull, that's got a 5-second cooldown. And on outgoing damage, restore shields for 2% of damage dealt. So if you're a tank-focused player, this looks like a console that is going to be an incredible addition to your lineup. And for the Starship trait, this is the leading captain. So this has buffs on it for yourself and nearby allies. And for yourself, the buffs that are active are going to change depending on whether or not you have threatening stance on or off. So to yourself, with threatening stance on, you're going to get plus 100% global threat gen and plus 50% incoming hull healing. And if you have threatening stance turned off, you're going to reduce your global threat generation by 100% and give yourself plus 20% accuracy. Now, for the buffs that can also impact other players, while in combat, for each ally within 10 kilometers, gain 1 stack of leading captain. You can have up to 5 stacks. Each stack grants plus 5% incoming hull healing, plus 2% crit chance, and 2% crit severity. So that's a pretty good trait. I mean, right there, you're looking at up to plus 25% incoming hull healing, plus 10% crit chance, plus 10% severity right off that trait, along with the threat buffs there. So this is another trait that I could see at a budget level being useful for those that are looking for ways to pick up more crit chance, and also for tank players that are looking for more ways to get more threat gen. And while the hull heals that this is boosting aren't necessarily what you see most tanks prioritize for survivability, this is a pretty sizable buff and is something that could help start to make some of those hull heals become a bit more viable, especially if we get some other buffs like this in the future. And the second ship here is the Newton Command Science Carrier, which features the canon USS Newton skin from Star Trek 09, along with an STO original variant, the Picard-era Leibniz class. And heading over to the Newton's stats, it has a hull modifier of 1.4, shield mod of 1.25. It has a 3-3 weapon setup, and it does support dual cannons in those forward slots. It's then got 3 device slots, and console-wise, 3 tac, 3 eng, and 5 science. For the mobility, it's got a base turn rate of 8, impulse of 0.19, and inertia of 30, so You can still make it move around pretty well, though it is going to slide a little bit more with that lower inertia rating. Then for the power buffs, you've got plus 10 to shields and auxiliary. And you are reading that correctly. This is now the second science carrier in Star Trek Online to feature both 2 hangar bays and a secondary deflector. The first science carrier with a secondary deflector was the Ark Royal, and it was quite controversial as it made normal science ships feel, honestly, a bit pointless. That backlash led to the devs backing down from giving other science carriers a secondary deflector, but clearly something has changed for them to explore this space again. Now, that is a topic that I will dive further into another day, but getting back to the ship here, it does also have subsystem targeting, sensor analysis, it's a command ship, so it does have the command inspiration abilities, and it has the carrier mastery package. Now, for the bridge officer setup, it's got a Commander Science with Command, Lieutenant Commander Universal, Lieutenant Commander Engineer with Intel, Lieutenant Tactical, and an Ensign Science. Now, for the Newton, I really like the layout that they have on this thing. The Command Primary and Intel Secondary is one of the strongest specialization combos in all of STO. That's a combo that has historically done well for energy weapon builds. It's what I used on the Delkina for ages. It's also really good for some torp builds. It's really good for tanking. It's really good for support builds. It's really good for carrier builds. It's just a very versatile combination that can do really, really well when the rest of the layout is there to support it. And in this case, I'd say the layout is there to support the majority of those build types. I think the Newton really is going to be the ship that stands out the most long-term from this bundle. And I know it's not going to appeal to everyone, but just purely off of the 3 ships here, this is the one that I think we're going to still be talking about 2, 3, 5 years from now. Now, heading over to the Newton accessories, the Admiralty card is 34 TAC, 34 inch, 49 science, and the special is plus 35 science when alone. And the Newton does come with some brand new hangar pets, the Class F shuttles. These each are equipped with 2 Kelvin Timeline phaser emitter arrays and a Kelvin Timeline photon torpedo launcher. These have some special abilities on them that are going to support you and your team. The first is Target Uplink. All allies receive increased crit chance and accuracy in a 10-kilometer radius, and that is 4% crit chance and 4% accuracy. Just note that the crit chance from this does not stack, so even if you have 12 of these things around you, you're only ever going to get 4% crit chance from them. And the other thing that these do is emergency damage control. Allies within 5 kilometers will receive shield and hull healing every 10 seconds. And the values there will change based on your stats and the pet's level. We'll have to see how these perform, but based on that description, it does sound a bit interesting for those of you that are a bit more support focused. And next up is the console off the Newton, the Shared Targeting Network. Passives on this are plus 10 auxiliary power setting and plus 28.5 starship control expertise. The clicky on this will provide all nearby allies and hangar pets with additional firepower and high resistance toward hazards, damage over time, and area of effect attacks. Hangar pets gain the same benefits at a higher power level. So this has a 10-kilometer sphere and can affect up to 20 allies and hangar pets. And to yourself and other players for 20 seconds, it is a 20% Cat 1 all damage bonus, and then plus 40 bonus all damage resistance rating versus area of effect, damage over time, and hazards. And then for hangar pets, it is a plus 40% damage buff, and then plus 75 bonus all damage resistance against area of effect, damage over time, and hazards. And then it's also got a plus 40% bonus to turn rate and flight speed for the pets. So for the carrier players here, this looks like it's going to be a pretty nice buff. And I like seeing that it's buffing more than just 12 pets. We've seen an issue with some of the other pet boosting items in the past couple of years where it only boosts like 12, and the issue is if you're using a couple summons on top of 2 hangar bays, then you're not able to go in and buff everything up. So going in and buffing 20 up here, that is a nice improvement. And the final thing for the Newton is the Starship Trait, Event Horizon Safeguard. This will passively provide your pets with plus 20% rank up XP, 10% crit chance, and 20% severity. For players, it's looking like it probably won't benefit the summons, but still, that is a sizable boost for any of your hangar pets. Now on to the third and final ship, the Salcombe Intel Escort. This features the skin seen in Star Trek Beyond, and it does have a Stowe original variant, the Starfleet Intelligence Dartmouth class. In addition, this is on the Gagarin skeleton, and it does include the Shepard skin, so those of you with other Gagarin variants will have many ways to customize this ship. And heading over to the stats of the Salcombe, it has a hull and shield modifier of 1, it has 5 forward weapons with the ability to run dual cannons, it has 2 aft weapons, it also has an experimental weapon slot, which by default has the M39 Anima railgun slotted in it, which I'll cover more in a moment. It has 2 device slots, console-wise, 5 tac, 4 inch, and 2 psi. For mobility, it's got a base turn rate of 17, impulse of 0.23, inertia 75, so this thing is going to move around very well. Then for the power buffs, it's got plus 15 to weapons and plus 5 to aux. It's got a generic cloak on it. It's got the Gather Intel ship mechanic. It's got the Escort Mastery package. And for the bridge officer layout, you've got a Commander TAC with Intel, Lieutenant Commander Inge with Pilot, Lieutenant Commander TAC, Lieutenant Universal, and Ensign Universal. Now, as for my thoughts on the Salcombe, just looking at the ship itself, not looking at the accessories quite yet, of the 3 ships in this bundle, it is by far the least interesting platform, because you look at the other ships here, the Armstrong is basically a better version of the Princeton, the Newton is sort of like a mini friendship that we're getting right in the Zen store, and for the Salcombe here, there is a comparable ship, the Terran Hydra. The issue is that the Terran Hydra is better. The Terran Hydra has better hull modifier, better shield mod. The turn rate is slightly lower, so that's one area where the Salcombe wins, but in every other regard, the Terran Hydra is the better ship if you're looking for Intel primary, pilot secondary. The thing that really holds the Salcombe back is that when you're looking at the buff layout, it's got that Lieutenant Commander TAC, and by doing that, that removes the ability, the option for you to have a gravity well on the Salcombe, whereas with the Terran Hydra, you can still go in and put a Lieutenant Commander Science on and run a grav well. So you can still make the Salcombe a very good, very capable platform, but if you're looking for the best option at this price point for Commander Intel and secondary pilot, then the Terran Hydra is the better ship in that regard, ignoring the accessories. Now heading over to the Salcombe accessories, the Admiralty card here is 32 Inge, 19 Science, and 67 TAC. The special is plus 10 TAC per TAC ship. And next up is the experimental weapon, the M39 Anima railgun. You can see a visual of it over at the right. This has a 90-degree targeting arc, 10-kilometer range, 18-second recharge time by default, but you'll see that there is a way to reduce that. It does kinetic damage, and when you critically hit, it will reduce the recharge time of the weapon by 1%. So this will be interesting to play around with to see how much we can actually cool this down from that 18 seconds, because most of the experimental weapons we tend to use are well under 10 seconds, like the hexes are 6 or 8 seconds, so this recharge time and this mechanic, it'll be interesting to see how that actually works out, but I am a little bit skeptical of this just with my initial look here. And the console here is Sigma Stratagem. Passives on this are plus 30% damage with damage over time effects and plus 5% critical chance. So the passives alone are going to make this interesting for budget builds and some science playstyles. Now the clicky here is a toggle. It can be on for up to 30 seconds. And there's a portion of this benefiting yourself, another that can benefit yourself and allied players. So for the portion benefiting just yourself, that is 20% critical hit chance, and again, that can be up for up to 30 seconds. And then the second portion of this that benefits yourself and allied players within 20 kilometers. When you critically hit, you and allies gain 15% weapon firing cycle haste for 8 seconds. Does not stack, and every time you critically hit, it will refresh the duration of that. So you're looking at, pretty sizable crit chance buff that is going to be up a good chunk of the time. So, with this console giving such a large amount of crit chance and also some firing cycle haste, I really do feel that this is going to be a very popular console, especially for budget players that don't have all of the fancy crit stuff from lockbox ships. And the Starship trait off the Salcombe is a diametric focus. When using a tactical bridge officer ability, you'll gain a stack of this trait for 15 seconds, and you can have up to 10 stacks of it active. If you have Threatening Stance turned on, then each stack will provide 3% hull regen and +1 max all power. So that is right there, plus 30% hull regen and +10 max all power with the 10 stacks. And if you have Threatening Stance turned off, then each stack will provide minus 10% weapon power cost and +5 critical severity with weapons. So that's 50 crit severity for weapons there, and the 100%, it's not going to actually be 100%. It is going to be a substantial amount of reduction for your weapon power cost, but the way the formula works, 100% is not actually a 100% reduction, but still that is a very, very large amount of weapon power costs that you're shaving off with this. Now, swapping between stances won't immediately reset stacks, but activating a tactical bridge officer ability will remove any accumulated stacks of diametric focus and start a new set of stacking buffs. I don't think you're going to see this trait used on the very top end builds, but this is another thing we're getting here in this bundle that really seems like it's going to be a great option for budget-focused players that don't have all of the really fancy lockbox stuff. So overall, a really solid set of additions. Now, wrapping things up, my initial impression here is that the Kelvin Timeline Starship Bundle is the best bundle that we've seen since the Heritage Bundle. The Armstrong is a decent tank platform and features some accessories that will greatly benefit tank players. The Newton is going to be one of the best carriers in the game, and it features some accessories that many carrier players will be jumping to get. And the Salcombe has some very good accessories that will also boost many playstyles. The bundle exclusives also look good this time around. The Red Matter console will be interesting to play around with, the costumes and the EV suit look nice, and the bundle fluff is good. We've got a T6 coupon, 9 ship upgrades, 3 ultimate upgrades. Very good to see. It's a bundle that has a bit of everything to cover many playstyles, and it looks to be the first in years that will warrant me updating my bundle recommendations. Of course, there is still some testing that needs to be done for some of the gear, and I'll be looking into that on stream over on my builds channel around the time this video drops. But that's it for today. Let me know what you think of this bundle, and what ship excites you the most. And as always, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you all around.